we know that the Bank of Korea has been trying to allay concerns, wanting to bring calm to the market. And so far, we've seen some reversal in the losses of the won. Let's get perspective from the BOK governor. We have Governor Rhee Chang-yong joining us from Seoul. Governor Rhee, good to have you with us. I'm just wondering how you're assessing the fallout in the market so far.
The martial law declared last night has been lifted within a few hours, and the financial markets are stabilizing quickly. It's a relief that the impact of the market was short-lived, while it is still true that it's hard to predict the political dynamics. But I believe that the economic dynamics in Korea can be separated from the political dynamics, given our strong market fundamentals and also the matured democracy.
So do you think you've done enough so far?
No, what is enough is actually I'm very happy that the impact has been short-lived. Definitely we have to see how these political events will evolve. In the meantime, we focus on providing ample liquidity to stabilize the market. And when we look at the market, we do not see any malfunctioning. But on the other hand, we by expecting that in preparation for the future possible financial unrest, we actually strengthened our liquidity injection facilities, such as increasing our repo purchase agreement and also extending our eligible securities for open market operation. And so far it's okay. So far it works well. Yeah.
So far, so good. But in my conversation with a former trade minister of Korea, he did talk about how he's expecting prolonged political uncertainties. How prepared is the BOK for that?
Actually, I watched your program. Actually, I think he was more concerned on the other structural factors, not only this prolonged the political issue. But I think it's not yet decided. It's very hard to predict which options the political process will evolve. But I think you know that the Korean government officials are well trained. We are well experienced in handling the several difficulties. So I think while in government in transition or in this transition period, which we believe couple of months, I think we have many tools and talented government officers to handle this macroeconomic situation.
Might the tools include another rate cut? You did a back-to-back rate cut in anticipation of Trump's tariffs, which you say will weigh on the economy. Might we see you cut rates even more?
Oh, you mean that because of this political turmoil? I don't think so, because as I mentioned, this political event was very short-lived, and I do not see any reason why it has to change our economic outlook at this moment. We are focusing our growth rate this year will be around 2.2%, and next year it will be around 1.9%. But I think we are still, at this moment, stick to our forecast. But I believe that our growth focus will be more impacted by the structural factors, such as change in global value chain, and also the facility rate and demography in our country. So these structural factors will be much more important factors in determining what will be our monetary policy will be and how we'll change our forecast, rather than this political event, which is short-lived yesterday.
Governor, we know that you have regular meetings with the finance ministry, also with the financial regulator. That meeting now becomes even more important given how the government is now in disarray. I'm just wondering, what's the significance of those meetings now, and what kind of issues do you think will come forward?
I can be very proud that this we call F4 meeting, financial experts meeting. I think that this is actually, I have been working for many other institutions in many other countries, but I think the communication channel that we developed the last 2 years through this, among our 4 regulators and finance ministers and me, we discuss every issue. And we actually honor our independence, but we discuss finance stability, monetary, fiscal, every issue we exchange our views. And actually, yesterday, after this political event happens, around 1:30 a.m., 11:40 a.m., we gathered together, discuss what we can do together. And then we also had another meeting at 7 in the morning. Actually, today was a tough day for me. I'm already sleepy, but I think this cooperation mechanism is work very well, covering almost every economic issues.
Governor Rhee, I'm just wondering, with regards to the meetings that you have with the policymakers in the finance ministry, for instance, I mean, should the framework be tweaked perhaps to improve the leadership and the effectiveness of those meetings, given the situation of the government right now?
I think I like this informal platform, because it becomes formal, you need to prepare, and there are a lot of bureaucracy can be involved. But given our intimacy, and we can discuss many issues, and by honoring our independence and the separate role of each institution has to do, we can do the perfect division of labor. For example, today, Bank of Korea called on the Special Monetary Policy Committee meeting. We focused on the liquidity injection today, and the financial regulatory services focused on the measures how to stabilize stock market. And then Minister of Finance is coordinating many policies, and they actually work hard to develop and monitor the FX market. For example, this kind of division of labor has been possible because we have discussed this policy consistently, coherently across our institutions.
You talked about how there is no need to relook at your rate cut trajectory. How confident are you about the economy, bearing in mind that we're seeing protests in the streets? I mean, tomorrow we're going to see the Korean railway workers going through the streets as well in protest. Might that not impact investor sentiment? Might not that impact consumption? Might not that impact confidence in the country and the economy?
Probably the factors you mentioned could have been a very important factor if the president didn't accept the National Assembly's recommendation to lift the martial law. But given that the martial law has been lifted, and now I think if you look at the other side of the coin, I think political certainty is actually increased, not decreased, because in the last couple of years, I think the tension between the ruling party and opposition party make everything in a deadlock. But now I think some kind of political certainty can also help our projections. Yes, as you mentioned, there may be some short-term difficulties, but I think if you can look at the other side of the coin, there is also a positive side. And I think if you look at what happened yesterday, actually, I think that you can see that Korean citizens and our politicians and our political systems are much more mature and safe. And I believe you mentioned the labor unions protest, but that kind of protest has been around for last 10 years. And if President didn't lift the martial law, that protest could have been aggravated quite significantly. But I don't think that, yes, I think regarding this impeachment effort now, there will be some noise. But I think that noise is not as
right.
will not be very large compared with what we have been experiencing so far.
Governor Rhee, you're expressing optimism despite the political turmoil. What scenarios then would worry you?
Look, I do not mean that everything will be smooth. I think the last couple of months, there will be a lot of tensions among the political parties, and this political debate won't be as smooth as probably we wished for. But what I mean is that, those kind of things are within the realm of what our government officers and experienced government officers and professionals can handle using various tools that we have. And on the other hand, what I'm worrying about is that it's more like there are a lot of global uncertainties, as you mentioned, that the major countries, policy issues, tariff, and also changing of global supply chain. And as you mentioned, that the geopolitics in Europe is also quite uncertain. And what I'm worrying about is if our own problem is, in some sense, amplify the global uncertainty, then maybe we may have a little bit, more difficulties than I'm currently expecting. But I think what we are doing is we have to adapt what has happened. So at this moment, whatever happened in politics, whatever happened in political projections, I think the government officials like us and central bankers in Korea are ready to react to it.
Investors we talk to say we should brace for volatility, especially in the Korean won. We've seen it move, as low as 1.5%. It's recovered somewhat. Is there a red line in the sand for the Korean won? I mean, at what stage will you be defending that currency?
Haslinda, Korea has been on the flexible exchange regime for a long time. And, we are not targeting for specific level of the exchange rate. But on the other hand, because Korean won is not internationalized, we are concerned on the volatility of our exchange rate and the pace of the exchange rate movement. So definitely using the integrated policy framework, we are trying to stabilize the abrupt movement of exchange rate. But at this moment, I think if we just look at what happened yesterday, for example, as I mentioned, the Korean won depreciated quite sharply, about 3% immediately. But now I think we are slightly above the level that we had before this political event happened. So I think in some sense, using various tools, including our liquidity injection, in the FX market too, I think we are now managing the situation better than you or some other people may as a concern. My basic point is that if you look at what happened in our political arena, this tension happened because of this event has happened because of political tensions, not any problem economic fundamentals. So in that sense, I think that the impact will be short-lived, and we can focus on the economic strengths and the weakness of Korean economy rather than political side effect.
Governor, for investors looking for some kind of clarity on the situation in Korea, what can they expect in the next 24, 48 hours? From where you're seated, what can be expected?
I can ask what has changed. Actually, I think during the night, there was 6 hours, uncertainty increased significantly. Now we're back to it. So as you mentioned, this may cause a more internal fight among the politicians. And you can see those kind of fight. I wouldn't mention country's name, but you can see many other countries have similar political fight at this moment. And then, this kind of fight is not affecting our fundamentals. It doesn't change our stock market operation. And actually, if you look at today, our financial market functions very well. The risk is there, but I think I'm not downplaying the risk. There is a risk, but like in other countries, but that risk is, given the nature of the risk, is within the range of the what you can manage.